Put your headphones on so we look like we know what we're doing.
Have we recorded?
We're recording. Okay, welcome everyone back to another episode of PEWTER.halfpints.
Half-pints.
Ooh, we're singing now. We're singers. I am Jason.
And I am David.
And we are the same two guys from the last episode. And we are here to talk about specific construction practices. And today is actually a very good one for everyone, for contractors and homeowners alike. Because today we want to talk about the importance of actually having a permit for your project.
Ooh.
I find it kind of weird how people still will work without a permit.
I know.
And it's like, why?
I mean, if the project doesn't call for it, it doesn't call for it.
Yeah.
I get it. But for the most part, if you're doing a big project, why in the world you would take the risk is beyond me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So today we're going to try to make sense to all the people at home who are thinking about deleting a wall here or there and want to do it without permits. Just because your brother-in-law knows how to frame up a house doesn't mean you should hire him to start ripping crap out. Because you know why? He's not an engineer, he's not an architect, and he sure as hell doesn't have a BCIN number. If you don't know what a BCIN number is, we're going to describe all that in this here episode.
Amen.
All right, so I guess we'll just start it off right away. We'll get into the nitty gritty of this. Why are they good for both parties? Let's just start there. They're good for both the contractor and the homeowner. So why? Why are they better?
Let's start with like the most basic. At the end of the day, you're hiring a contractor to perform a certain level of duty. That level of duty does have a guideline. And for the most part, as one of our past clients put it, anybody can spell the word professional. So how do you know if they're actually doing their job up to a professional level? As a homeowner, you're a banker, lawyer, whatever you do. That is not your specialty. So how in the world are you supposed to know whether he's doing his job correctly or not? If you have a permit, you have an inspector coming around. And the inspector is going to look at the work. And inspectors have a BCIN number.
Yes, I do. Which is a builder code inspector number.
They are absolute experts. They know the building code like the back of their hand. And you have a building code expert who gets to come through and review your contractor's work before they proceed to the next phase. So it's absolutely essential that you have somebody like that coming through and checking your work.
I feel like go back to what you said before, I feel like hiring a contractor and then doing a job without a permit is like hiring a lawyer who never actually passed the bar. It's kind of like the same thing, no?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could kind of look at it that way. I mean, if you have a business license, you would have had to pass an exam
Right.
on the building code. But what that exam does is sort through the people who are able. It's an open book exam. So you slap a massive binder in front of yourself and you have to answer a bunch of questions in a certain allotted amount of time. So you have to be proficient enough to flip through the binder and find the answers. Doesn't necessarily mean that you know the answers.
True.
Where the building code or where the building inspector, they know the answers.
Yeah, they do. And the best part about it is if whatever they tell you goes, right? They have ruling overall. So if you do one way and the building inspector tells you to do it this way, there's always, reference to it. Something wrong happens, it's on the inspector. So this is why the inspectors are never wrong.
And you know what? That's a great segue to the next point, and that's transfer of liability. Mm-hmm. Right? If something goes wrong down the line, as the contractor, and it's even comforting as the homeowner.
Yeah.
A city official came through and inspected the work, and they said, yes, this is done sufficiently. Mm-hmm. You had another set of eyes come through and double check stuff. And I'm not saying like contractors are going to be trying to do things wrong. No, for the most part, everybody wants to grow their business. Nobody wants problems. But it's just good to have that extra layer of transfer of liability, right? They went in, they said it was okay, we closed up. So, if something does go wrong, you do have somebody else to blame other than the contractor. Mm-hmm. And for us, we're able to pass a little bit of the responsibility on to that inspector as well.
And to even go back even further, you know, in this process of things, before a building inspector even shows up to your house, when you go for permits, that means you need an architect and an engineer to come in and draw everything up and make sure everything's good, whether it's your structural work or your mechanical work or whatever. You know, at least you know it's going to be done properly. So not only do you have a building inspector to back you up, you have an architect and or engineer to back you up.
Yeah, very good point.
Right?
It's ensuring that the correct process is being followed.
Yeah, so now you got like 2 or 3 levels of security, insurance, if you will. Or assurance, not insurance, assurance.
And imagine you didn't go that route and you're just going off of whatever the contractor tells you. I mean, at the end of the day, the building code does lay out a lot of, you know, simple steps, simple things. And
you can size up a built up wood beam through the building code.
Yeah, there's a chart. Just go to the chart and you can look and figure it out. But at the end of the day, like, a house is a complex number of systems all combined together. And it's a package, and it has its value as a package, right? Mm-hmm. So again, that's a very good point. That you know, you're just bringing everybody into your project. Everybody that needs to be involved is involved, guaranteed, if you're going to get a permit.
Yeah, I mean, let's be serious. If you're doing a lipstick job, a permit is not necessary. But you're doing additions, you're moving walls, you know, you're adding square footage to your house. A lot changes, right? Not only does the structural loads of your house change, but the amount of airflow you need changes. The amount of electricity might change, right?
Yeah, there's more to it than just, you know, weight transfer.
Yeah,
that is a part of it, but
at the end of the day, I mean, yes, like we're, you know, me and Dave, we know construction pretty damn well, but at the end of the day, I'm not an engineer. I didn't go through all that school to understand how load transfers truly work. Like, yeah, I passed a class in architecture about how to, calculate the moment of inertia. But that was like 10 years ago. I don't even remember what the moment of inertia is. No, I do. But you know what I mean? Like,
no, but we know how these things practically come together. But at the end of the day, we don't have a certification that says that we're qualified, right? You want somebody to take responsibility, professional responsibility for your project. Right? These people have careers based on taking responsibility, and they have insurance specific to taking on that responsibility. Your contractor does not.
Yeah, I mean, right? Depending on how the size of your contractor, he might have 1 million liability, 2, 5.
But if you look at the insurance policy of your contractor, it's not going to cover gross negligence. And if you have, or some form of negligence, if you don't bring in the correct professional to do the job professionally, that's negligence.
Yeah, so I guess this comes back. So not only does permits provide assurance, but at the same time, it provides proper insurance as well. Because if you do a renovation, let's say you build a basement, okay, and you didn't hire a proper electrician who pulled out an ESA permit, an Electrical Safety Authority permit, your house burns down to an electrical fire, they don't care if it was on the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, or basement. Your house burns down to an electrical fire, you can guarantee that your home insurance is not going to cover you. Because you had work done to your house by a quote-unquote non-professional who didn't take out the necessary permits.
Oh, and ESA is the worst. Electrical Safety Authority, those guys...
They're the worst, but they're the best. And they're the worst because they actually have the authority to enter your house without a permit, or, you know, if they know electrical work's going down in your house and they look it up in their system, there's no permit pulled, they have the right to walk into your house if the door is unlocked and go, stop what you're doing, put your tools down, get the heck out, and don't start again. They can shut down the entire job.
Yeah. They're the only one that's completely, what's the word I'm looking for? They're the only one that's completely autonomous.
Yeah, right? They're completely separate to the OBC, the Ontario Building Code, and the Canadian Building Code.
Maybe we should break that down too for homeowners. So you need your building permit,
yes,
and you need your electrical permit. They are two different things.
Yes.
And if you're doing a project that does not require a building permit, you and you're doing anything to your house pretty much, you probably still need an electrical permit.
Yes, if you're adding plugs, taking away, whatever. If there's electrical work to be done behind the walls, then you need a permit. You're going to switch out on a bad plug for a good plug, you don't need an electrical permit for that. You just need to know someone who knows how to not electrocute themselves.
Well, no, I think you're allowed to do it. If anybody does any electrical work on your house, there's supposed to be a permit, which gets ridiculous with very small tasks, but technically that's the way it goes. Anyway,
so
we're off topic.
Yeah, I wanted to segue into something else and I forget what it was. I think it's safe to say, Dave, that if you do a project without permits, it can cause a snowball of bullshit on a very steep downhill, just collecting. Pardon my French, but it's true. I mean, so what, like, apart from the fact that if your house burns down, your insurance isn't going to cover you if you don't have an ESA permit, what about selling your house?
Well, that's the other thing. We've had clients reach out to us, past clients, and request information on building permits or electrical permits because the buyers had requested to see that the work was done properly. And I don't know if it would impact the sale at all, but I would imagine if I was that buyer and the homeowner was not, if the seller was not able to procure the right documents, I'd be beating them up for price. Like, I'd be trying to get a deal on it or, some sort of waiver.
Well, not only that, I mean, you buy a house that was renovated. Okay, yeah, it was renovated. You can tell very beautifully well done and like kind of like a choppy job. And if you do walk in the house and then like the work's a little bit choppy, you're going to start questioning, was it even done properly? And if you look back and there was no permits, I wouldn't buy that house.
No.
I don't care who did the work.
Yeah, we get brought in at times and it's like, well, what do you think? And most of the time it's garbage. Well, and if it's garbage on the outside, I'd hate to see what it is behind the wall. And how many times have we opened up a house and it's just nightmare after nightmare from guys doing stuff and they have no idea what they're doing?
Well, I'll never forget that one time we did a job near downtown Oakville, near the Brawny area, and we removed, it was a bungalow, we removed a supporting wall in the middle of the house and we replaced it with a 26-foot long LVL. The thing was massive. A house 2 or 3 doors down was making fun of our clients because they took out the same wall in the same house and didn't put a beam in. They're like, haha, yeah, you got taken because you had to do permits and now you put in a beam you didn't even need to pay for it. We took out the same wall. And it's like, really? Because our engineer told us that wall needs to be replaced with a beam.
Yeah.
You're not an engineer.
We cut a new footing in the basement floor. We built a massive structure so big. This beam was so big that it poked through the front of the roof.
Yeah, we had to build a new dormer on top of the beam to hide it.
Why? Because the way that the roof was designed, it held the snow load.
Yeah.
Right. So it, maybe it's okay on a normal day, everyday basis. But what happens if you get 6 feet of snow on and the house collapses on you and your family? Who do you have to blame?
Yeah. Yeah. Laugh at my clients. You're the idiot, bud.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, so, I mean, it's very, very important. I mean, we could probably go on for days about the importance of getting a permit for your project. But,
is there anything else? Any other points? I would like to add one more thing as well. The other thing is having a building inspector as the contractor, it's a phenomenal resource.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Right? They come on. They're all good guys.
Some of them got a little bit to prove, but that's all right.
The young ones.
The younger ones.
The older ones are good. Great to work with. But like I said earlier, they are just a wealth of knowledge. And so, we're introduced to our inspectors in the beginning of the project. And if we have questions, pick up the phone, call them, send them an email. Actually, don't call them. You can only leave a message, but send them an email and you'll get a response back. Or maybe if they deem that a conversation is necessary, they'll call you.
Yeah.
And you can have answers to your questions before they even show up. And it's just a great resource. So you get to they keep us sharp. And on top of that, we can learn from them. If we have, questions or concerns, they're there to help us.
It's true. That's true. They're not. I mean, a lot of people think that the town or the municipality is your enemy, and they just want the money for taxes and this and that and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, they make sure the building inspector makes sure that your house is safe, your family is safe. It's good for us. It's good for you.
The other thing too is there are, even talking to building inspectors, there are guys out there who become buddies with their engineers, or maybe they're friends. They went to school together, or whatever it is, and the contractor will just get the engineer to sign off, because engineers can override an inspector. But the inspector, one of the last guys we were talking to, was saying that sometimes they just get the engineer to sign off for them on their problems. And, the building inspectors will fight it. They will stand up and say, so they're double checking the engineer as well at this point nowadays, which they didn't used to do before. That stamp used to mean something, but.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. So if you say you're doing removing a big supporting wall, and you have your engineer size up a beam. When we go for permits and your drawings go to the city for permits, the reason why it goes there, not to check that, you're doing not to check that you're actually, getting a beam put in, but the town is double checking your engineer's work.
Yeah, they'll double check calculations and everything.
Yeah.
And that wasn't true before, but now they've really come down on it because of that whole thing. So it's just a double check, right? They double check everything. At the end of the day, we've entrusted our government to keep us safe, and we expect them to keep us safe, and that's what they do.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I know it might cost a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you pay for what you get. You want a job done half-assed and get half-assed product. All right? We don't do that here. I don't know many contractors who do that. Maybe back in the day when it was the contractor thought he knew everything. There's still guys out there like that. But at the end of the day, it's your safety. It's our safety. I mean, we did, God bless that one kid who died in Toronto because a house collapsed on him because the contractor didn't shore the house properly.
Yeah.
Get your engineer to give you shoring drawings. It's not hard.
Yeah. And it should be a part of the demolition plan. And that's the thing. An architect will not give you the shoring drawing. An engineer has to spec it.
Yeah.
Which is why we changed our entire model. We don't use an architect anymore. Our first point of contact at this point is an engineer.
Yep.
And they do everything. And it's just, you button the whole process up.
Yeah. So either way, keep your family safe, keep your contractor safe. Your contractor isn't out to screw you. Your contractor should be a good friend of yours, if not by the beginning of your project, but by the end of your project. Everyone needs to work together to make sure construction is safe, because construction safety is one thing that Gino has always taught me and Dave that is extremely important, and permits go a long way with that.
Yeah, and that'll never change.
No. Okay, so I guess that's it for today, guys. From Pewter to you, get your permits done, whether you're doing it through us or another contractor. Push for permits. Don't let your contractor tell you you don't need them unless you truly don't need them.
Yeah.
If you're doing a lipstick job, trim, paint, flooring, you don't need a permit.
If you're changing structure,
moving a drain, and anything electrical.
Yeah. Always electrical.
Always electrical. Do it. It might cost you a couple extra $100, but in the great scheme of life, who cares?
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it.
Thanks again for watching.
Yep. I'm Jason. This is Dave. We're drinking Detour. We'll get more into that on our Friday episode.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the like button.
Yeah.
Smash them.
On all platforms, YouTube, Google, Apple, other weird
stuff.
names.
Yeah. All that stuff.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Stay safe, everybody.